Hello, my name is Aaron Armstrong. This is the part 2 to forging 2 items at the same time. This is going to be the actual example of me forging 2 items at the same time. I'm going to probably not do too much instruction or talking doing this one. Hopefully, if all goes well. One thing I did forget to mention is having a good coke bed is very important. It makes the metal go in and out a lot easier, and we want to try and not mess that up if we can. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and start here. And the reason why I'm not going to do so much talking is this is a process that's for the shop. It requires concentration. It's not a process to be done at shows. People don't want to see you forging 2 items at the same time. They just want to see metal being hot, and they're there to buy your product. So save this for the shop. Unless you're at a ABBA convention or some welding conference and you're doing it as a demo for other blacksmiths, this process is strictly to just maximize your production. Okay? So enjoy. And that is something I forgot to mention too, so I guess I am going to have to talk through this. I'll do it on second heats when I got time. One of the things that I'll work on or utilize within my forge is what I talked about a little bit in the beginning of the last video, and that was the resting heat. Right now, with no air, the forge is sitting at a resting heat. I can utilize that. These pieces of metal can stay in there in the orange zone. They're down in the orange zone right now. That orange zone will eventually lower itself as their air cools off. I can control that with the air to heat up that orange zone and bring it up higher. But that metal can stay in there for quite a while. So it allows me, and if you think your forge is getting too hot, you can drag the metal up. Okay? Johnny. We don't need a lot of close-ups, just the process. Okay, technique. You're going to want to be careful opening up a shoe like this. If you're not right, you'll send it across the room. So just be aware of it. I prefer to open them up that way so it doesn't leave marks from the anvil opening them up this way. And I will spend a little more time at the anvil with some adjustments to kind of give you an idea of what I'm able to do with the resting heat. By just sitting at that resting heat, my next piece is ready to go. And not burning up. As you can see, I'm still able to talk, but the problem is talking, I forgot my process of where I was going to be at next with this. But being my tools were all in the same spot, I was able to still save the heat. Even though I had no clue I was supposed to be at this process. So that's actually a good example, because I've made enough of these that I do not have to think about what I'm doing. So that came out, I was not thinking I would be at this point because I was busy talking. When I saw the metal and it was at that point, everything was exactly where I needed it. No, not much time was lost. Now these are just pretty much marking heats. If I was working these one at a time, I'd take it a lot hotter, and I'd probably do it in one heat. But having it square in the center makes opening them up a lot easier. The punch I'm using is basically a modified chisel that I've turned into a slot punch. And I can show it later at the end of the video if I remember. Just like with a regular punch, we're just going to punch out the backside. The metal's a little on the hot side, they won't punch out cleanly. So they usually take another little thing. But I should be at a resting heat if my forge didn't go nuclear. That'll pop out when we go to open up this slit. This next one should come out. It's a little cooler than that last one was, so it'll pop out a little cleaner. The thinner you can get the tab, the easier it'll pop out. We'll have to pop both those out on the horn. Now, next step, you could actually drift with a punch if you prefer. I just prefer to work them out on the horns. Need more heat, you can put one down lower and move the other one up. Need a little more heat on that one I want out, but this one I just put in is ready to go right now. But instead of switching them, I'm moving it to a higher level in the forge into a maintaining heat when the air's gone, and I brought this one up to 10. This one has enough heat, it'll probably complete in this heat. Johnny, you're gonna have to move. Go in there with the next heat. So as you can see, that stayed at the maintaining heat that I can still work it at. Get off your phone.
I'm playing Flappy Bird.
Quit playing Flappy Bird and get off your phone. You're videotaping.
No.
When you start out working 2 at a time, I recommend you work within your heat ranges. You'll see me using a lot of black heat. Until you figure out the timing of your forge and the timing, you're better off to work within the heats that you're at. I only forge 2 at a time when I have to. It's not as enjoyable, but it is a way to bring your cost down. Now we're going to get a little bit of a break here. I like to clean up any sharp edges that are inside at this point. Just cooling the thinner metal on the top. I want a longer heat up the shaft for doing the tap.
My shoes are dirty.
I like to clean up the tabs a little bit, make them a little more even. Doesn't take much time to do, but it makes for a nicer tab. Sometimes they come out a little long or not as pretty. Take off any sharp edges. Now normally that one would go back in the fire to do the twist, but I need to stamp it. I've chosen to do my stamping, custom stamping at this point, because being I oil my products with beeswax, I've got to heat it up anyway, and it doesn't take a lot of heat to heat up at the twist. So I thought about twisting them ahead of time and then stamping last. But then it's going to take a lot more time to heat up to do the stamp or to do the waxing, because after I do the twist, it's almost at the heat I need for waxing. So this is actually a good spot to stop. Like I said, I usually do these at 10 at a time. This is for production. I'll do them 10 at a time, and then I'll stamp them, and then do the final twists. I have 2 here from earlier today. So we'll go ahead and get those in. Shouldn't take too long for them to heat up. Being we're only doing a 90-degree twist, don't need a whole lot of heat on the metal. But it'd be a good chance for me to get a little bit of a drink. So as you can see, when I'm done at the anvil, my other metal's ready to go after the initial heat up. And that's where the time saving is. By having everything right where you know it's at and real close, saves a lot of time too. Important to brush at this point too, because it's going to be, this is your last color that you're going to get a chance to clean unless you want to take another heat. go ahead and wax one of these. I use 100% Piers beeswax. And then that's pretty much it. I'll use the same principle in doing the waxing in order to give it its same color. I've already done a video on waxing. So we'll just kind of recap here. The whole point of working 2 items in the forge at the same time is strictly just to maximize your time and always be working at the anvil. So when you're done at the anvil, you've got metal ready to go in the fire. Okay? Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps.